There is no situation on earth that cannot be used as a means to raise your frequency and open your heart to your inner divinity. Gene Key number 33, The Gift of Mindfulness, The Shadow of Forgetting, and the CD of Revelation. Its programming partner is number 19, Sensitivity. My wisdom story. My mother was an angry woman, always censoring my father, claiming to help him by telling him how to be, what to do. Most of the time, he just took it, but sometimes he'd explode, and it scared me. All I wanted was to get away from the tension and find peace. One day, a monk came through our town. I was only 4 years old, but I clung to his leg and wouldn't let go. It was like I had always known him. He asked my parents for permission to take me with him to the monastery, and they agreed, even though I could see that it broke their hearts. I spent the next many years living in silence, living far away from people. My days were spent meditating and tending to the task of the monastery and trying to forget where I came from. All I wanted was to attain liberation and leave the world of illusion. I was a reserved man who most of the time felt safe, calm, and at peace. Until one week, for the first time since I was a young boy, my parents came to the monastery. My whole body recoiled, my heart raced, and I felt flooded by an intensity of feelings I had long forgotten. My teacher quickly stepped in. In a stern voice, he told me to be compassionate towards my parents and to tame my ego in a way I'd never done before. I raised my voice in anger at my teacher, defending myself against attack as if he were my mother, telling me what to do and how to be. And suddenly, as the heat infused my cheeks, I remembered. The anger I felt wasn't about my teacher or my parents. This story I was living out, this suffering that flooded my whole body, was as old as time itself. So I watched my blood boil and felt my heart break. Then I looked at my parents, now in old, tired bodies, and saw the pain and confusion in their eyes. That visit marked a turning point in my life and the end of my stay at the monastery. I was ready to remember and reclaim all that I was, am, and ever will be. It was time to return to the beautiful, messy world. Ashe. My gift to you. I am here to help you remember and to release you from the prison of your emotional life. Even if you want to speed up enlightenment, you can't. So give yourself plenty of permission to think, to feel, to desire, to react, to hide. Let nothing be forbidden. All I ask is that you be mindful of what you do. The first step in awakening is realizing that you've been asleep. So do not try to change your patterns or passions. Just recognize them. There I go again. Catch yourself forgetting your true nature. Learn to feel increasingly comfortable with discomfort. In time, you will naturally come to realize that something more wondrous than you can imagine is looking through your eyes, thinking through your mind, and living through your actions. In the end, all of life shall remember itself through you, and all that you'll experience is the revelation of the eternal now. That is so beautiful. Gene Key number 33, the gift of mindfulness, the shadow of forgetting, and the CD of revelation. There is no situation on earth that cannot be used as a means to raise your frequency and open your heart to your inner divinity. Some questions for contemplation. How do you avoid intimacy? Do you hide behind your work, a spiritual practice, or a philosophy? Do you sometimes find yourself offering unasked for advice or criticism, or surprised by others' reactions to what you say? If you weren't worried about being unenlightened, what feeling, desire, or need might you more easily see and own? Practice mindfulness today. Simply watch your thoughts, impulses, and actions without trying to change, redirect, or censor them. Notice which ones are most difficult for you to look upon with neutral compassion. Beautiful. Have a mindful week. Let's explore some more. And as we continue to explore Gene Key 33, mindfulness, let's call on the unicorns and the dragons and see what messages they bring to us this week as we experience this key of mindfulness, forgetting, and revelation. So the first card was the air and the water dragons, and this symbolizes our ability to connect to higher frequencies. It helps us to trust our intuition and to develop our psychic or clairvoyant skills, right? The five clairs, I like to call them. It's encouraging us to be open to enlightenment and to express our inner song. It's representing the blue and the green colors and frequency, and of course it's the elements of water and air, which symbolize again our spiritual and psychic clairvoyant natures. It taps us into the third eye, our ability to see the higher perspective, allowing us to be inspired and then aspiring us to higher possibilities. It guides us to trust our intuition over our logic. And that is so key because sometimes our logic really does demand us to take another course. But our intuition is so potent and prevalent that it's like, nah, I just got to go with this gut feeling, which is like your third eye, the stomach, the solar plexus, and the third eye chakra, right? There's this knowing there, and sometimes we have to follow those messages and voices that come from our inner song to guide us, as opposed to the logic, which represents our mind, right? And it's interesting, it's being mindfulness, but mindfulness is also asking us to be more aware of where the mind goes, right? So are we going with intuition, or are we going with logic? And really, there's no right or wrong, right? There is just that awareness of, do I see what I'm doing here, right? So it's encouraging us to trust our intuition over our logic, this particular dragon, right? Um, it also represents bubbles, right? And what's the symbolism of bubbles? It's air and water. And bubbles bring in this energy of happiness and hope, encouraging us all to connect, once again, to connect to our inner song and then express it, right? So what are we really talking about here? We're talking about going within and connecting through our third eye, having the clarity of the higher vision, and then projecting that onto humanity for the greatest and highest good of all, right? It is also encouraging us to tap into Neptune, because that is a planet of higher spirituality and enlightened understanding as we explore this key of mindfulness, right? It speaks of three tenets: intuition, spiritual knowledge, and wisdom. And those three things, we can call it a trinity, those three things allow us the illumined perspective, which is that voice that expresses the true notes of our soul. So even in this energy of mindfulness, it is encouraging us to have the higher mind, right? The higher perspective, the illumined perspective, number 33, right? And they like to say that that is the master's number, right? Number 33. And then we go into the unicorn, right? And the unicorn is number 16. Soul healing, right? I thought that was a beautiful merge. No matter what comes out, there's always this beautiful bridge that the unicorns and the dragons make with the gene key. So number 16 talks about aligning with your essence, soul healing, seeing your true soul colors. Of course, again, it's the journey of our soul. And in that mindfulness, right? Seeing the whole picture, right? Not just your physicality, not just your beauty, not just your light, not just your dark, but seeing the colorfulness, all of the colors, the whole journey. This card actually goes in, this deck is by Diana Cooper, and she does a lot of work with unicorns and dragons and lights and chakras and that type of stuff, right? And she starts talking about really the seventh dimension and the eighth chakra with this, which I thought was interesting. And she says that before we can reincarnate, our soul must reach a seventh dimensional level before returning to earth. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know too much about that, the specifics, but I did think that was just a very interesting so that was an interesting piece. And that she says that now we are harmonizing and clearing any family and ancestral karmas recorded in our soul star chakra. Soul Star Chakra, physicality is the Bahamas, my home. So I always love when the Soul Star Chakra pops up, right? And it also talks about country and world karmas. And I think that would be our collective karma, because we have our individual and soul family karma, but we also have the world karma, the country karma, and I think that's the collective karma. And when I think about just the Bahamas, I do think about it a lot with us being on the soul star chakra and what that really means. And me, I do believe in reincarnation. All the souls that decided to reincarnate and live here in the Bahamas on the soul star chakra. she gives us a nice exercise with this, and this is something that I have done before, and it was very, very powerful and life-changing for me. It was before I got into, I guess, my internal voice and my internal world, discovering my internal world. And so she just asks us, what are our true soul colors? And going into meditation to find that true soul color. And I really did this. This was in I want to say 2019. It could have been 20. No, it was definitely in 2019. It was an early morning. I had a interesting dream. I had a revelation, and I was in the bathroom, and I literally asked that same question. I said, God, show me my true self. Show me who I am, who I truly am. And what appeared was a color. So it's so interesting. I love tying this into this. It's so interesting that here I am some 5 years later, and she's asking, what are my true soul colors? And for all of us to really take ourselves on that journey of finding our fullness and our soul colors and our true soul essence, and again, tying all of this into mindfulness. And Spirit is saying, knowing who you are, know thyself, right? Know thyself. So this is just, like I said, an exploration this week of mindfulness, and we have all of these beautiful teachers and colors and concepts and keys to help us to explore mindfulness this week. As always, I usually end with a poem or prayer, and this is what I wrote today. What did I forget as I merged more with the world? I forgot I was worthy of love and peace and joy and happiness. I forgot I was worthy of brilliance, radiance, and majesty. I forgot I was worthy of quiet days, unscheduled seasons, and long vacations that never truly end. I forgot I was worthy of beauty without payment and luxury without blood. I forgot I was divine. I forgot I was love. I forgot I too held the sun and the moon. I forgot I am made of stardust. I forgot. I forgave. And now I remember. I am messy, wonder-filled, and divine. May we all remember our soul, our essence, and our triumphs, what we have overcome. And may we seek stillness and find safety. May we be comforted by the mindfulness that reveals to us our glorious and healing lights. Have a beautiful and mindful exploration this week, loves.